Welcome to this episode of Island by Film. My name is Wes. Today I'm going to go through why I personally chose to stop shooting film in 2023. Why I loved shooting film for so long. Number one, I'd likely been shooting film for probably about 10 years, from going from digital to film and now back to digital again. And I loved to start with the slow meditative process. And I think part of the reason why is because for a long season I shot weddings, and it was 1,500, 2,000 images on a wedding day. And it just became so repetitive and almost a little bit numbing to take photographs and not as exciting. And so I would find that I would gravitate towards shooting film images for my personal stuff. So on the weekend when I would go and shoot, to stay inspired and to stay motivated, I would tend to shoot a roll of film, and I was excited by that. So it was kind of that slowing down of the process, and I think a lot of people really still enjoy that. The number two reason why I absolutely love shooting film was the tactile process of handling the cameras, the buttons, the knobs, the dials. All of those things actually made me understand photography at a whole new level. So incredibly valuable for me in my process. So, I love the fact that I deeply began to understand things like the Sony 16 rule and the exposure triangle. And this is as a result of shooting film, not digital, but film. Thirdly, I loved the aspect of processing my own film negatives. And you can see in my channel, I've got a bunch of videos posted on how to process black and white, how to process color. And so all of those things were very, very important to me. And I enjoyed the process. That too was very, very meditative. And it was almost exciting to see the results when you open that canister up after developing a roll of color C41 film or black and white negative film. You just get really, really excited. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed that part of the process as well too. Fourthly, I'm a bit of a collector. I'm not a hoarder, but I'm a collector. I love finding things at thrift stores. And for a season, finding film cameras at a thrift store was actually fun. You would actually show up at a thrift store and you would find really unique finds, sometimes valuable finds, and then for a long time people didn't really understand the value of film cameras. And I think I was actually on the early stages of that 10 years ago. So if you're thinking it's 2023 right now, like 2013, 2014, I was already starting to hunt the thrift stores and finding cameras that today are worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars for like $20, $30, $40 for a camera. And that was enjoyable for me. So why then have I decided in 2023 to abandon film photography for digital? Film photography has actually increased in trend like exponentially over the last number of years, especially over COVID. It was pretty incredible to see exactly how the film photography industry exploded. And I think that might be one of the reasons why I'm shying away from it a little bit. I feel less inclined to be drawn toward that trend, although, trends change and trends change personally. And so for me, that might be one of the reasons why, but there were a number of different reasons why. Reason number one being the cost of film photography. Man, I remember when you could buy a roll or buy a pro pack of Portra, for in the $20 range, between $20 and $30. But nowadays, you can't get a roll of Portra for in that $20 range now. So it's gotten exponentially more expensive. Although I processed all my own film and developed everything at home, there was still that expense of the chemicals and the time it took to do these things. And I guess it kind of got a little bit repetitive and redundant for me over time. So I think that might be a reason as well too. Thirdly, as I spoke before, in terms of my enjoyment for the hunt of film cameras, the price of film cameras nowadays is through the roof. Like, you can't even buy a reasonable film camera at a thrift store. Even thrift stores nowadays know what they have in their hands when they get a film camera in stock. In fact, sometimes it can be a non-functioning vintage film camera, not even of any value, and they want $50 for it. So that kind of turned me off a little bit, and I thought, that part of the fun was gone. The other reason why I made the choice to stop shooting film was for the environmental impact. Now, I know that there's an environmental impact with the process of making digital cameras, and I know that the recycling of old film cameras actually keeps them out of the landfill, which there's a benefit to that as well too. But the biggest holdup I had was the chemicals, and I tried to be very conscientious in how I disposed of my chemicals. And we didn't have a chemical disposal place near the city where I live, so we had to drive 2 hours to dispose of chemicals, and it became a little bit of a hassle. And then I got into actually printing, darkroom printing, and I set up a darkroom. I've shared some of that content on my channel as well too. And I really enjoyed that process as well too, but the pile up of chemicals that I was, just piling up in my garage, that kind of turned me off a little bit. And then I also started thinking about some of the health impacts of breathing in those chemicals. Although I tried to wear a mask when I was working with chemicals as much as possible, there still, I'm sure, are some residual inhalations that you experience as a result. And so for me, that was kind of a little bit of a deal breaker as well too. And then I would say the process of scanning film. Now that in and itself killed almost all of the fun for me when it came to the film photography process. So for me, when I think about that, when I think about the fact that I cannot necessarily get the results I would like to get at a reasonable enough price, that became another reason for me to go a different direction than shooting film. So once again, this isn't a video to slam the medium and the process of shooting film. I very much respect it and still follow many film photographers and enjoy the work they're creating. But for me personally, it became a bit of an issue. One of the more major reasons why I chose to stop shooting film was the advancement of film emulation in modern day digital cameras, specifically the Fuji X series system and specifically Fuji recipes. So the film recipes within the Fuji system have been incredible. There's so many amazing recipes out there that emulate, although not exactly, but emulate quite well the look and feel of a film negative. And the results are fantastic. In fact, you'll hear me talk about the camera that I love the most, which is my Fuji X100V. This camera here is absolutely fabulous. But the thing I love about this camera more than anything else is the fact that it shoots incredible images that give that look and feel of film. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of arguments out there that say it's not the same thing, and there are differences in the highlights and in the shadows, and fair enough. I know it's not the exact same thing, but for me and my purpose, to be a personal shooter like I am, I personally think that the results for me are superior even, because you got to think about it. If I was scanning film on the Epson V600, the results I was getting were fairly basic results, something in around the 12 megapixel range, which were okay. But at the same time, I'm getting a lot higher resolution image on my Fuji X100V, and it's just so much more convenient for me. So there's a number of reasons why you should consider possibly abandoning film in 2023, but there's also reasons why you may choose to stay with film in 2023. And so it really is a personal choice, and I don't really want any trolls commenting below telling you I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I shot film for 10 years. I processed film myself at home, scanned it myself at home, printed in a dark room at home by myself. So I think I have some knowledge as far as the process goes. And for me now, in 2023, going forward, I've made the solid decision to abandon film entirely. And those are my reasons for choosing to stop shooting film in 2023. If you like what you heard during this video, I'd absolutely love to hear from you in the comments below. Love it if you smash that like button. If you consider subscribing, means a lot to me. It helps the algorithms on YouTube as I'm trying to build this channel out. And let me know what you think about my new studio setup. Just have some new lighting and setup here in the Island by Film studio. So anyway, thanks very much for watching this video, and we will check with you later.